everyone, welcome back to the layout, the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO scale. My name is Daryl Cruz, owner and builder of the layout, and your host for a weekly update. This update focuses on work around Westvaco, trying to finish the upper level. There's a curve from Granger to Westvaco that I've been working on, and then also, of course, the area around Westvaco itself. Special thanks to all the members of the channel. Thank you so much for your support. You have been sticking with me for quite a while. Some people up to almost 3 years they've been with me and supporting the channel. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. And here we have some things I've been doing. I've been working, this is the Westvaco area, and if you notice, I painted this track in two different ways. I've been using khaki for the sides of the rails on the main line, and I decided for the secondary track at Westvaco I would go ahead and switch back to the rust color. And again, kind of figure that the mainline track probably wears out faster than it can start to rust. So use just khaki for that, which represents kind of just dirty rails. And then for the secondary track, which doesn't wear out near as fast, I figured we would have the rust color incorporate a little bit more. Now it looks quite of a stark contrast between the two right now, but when the ties are painted, the the tie brown, I use dark brown for that, then the difference between the two is much more subtle, because you just have kind of the khaki or the rust kind of showing through the dark brown that's sprayed from top down. It's important that to have some distinctions between the mainline track and the secondary track. One thing is that it has a higher elevation. The roadbed is higher than the secondary track, so I'm just using 1/16 inch cork sheet for the secondary track, and then the regular 3/16 inch for the main line, just regular Midwest cork or whatever. But so that's a difference. And of course the color of the ballast also will distinguish the main line from the secondary track. Here you can see I have it all masked down, and you can tell I did paint it dark brown, so you can see the rust is not quite so evident. I have a lot of it masked off because I'm getting ready to do the scenery work around here. Not a lot of scenery ground cover to put around Westvaco because it's mostly the yard. So this area is going to be mostly ballast for the track area, and just some ground foam on the edges. I finally used some thicker masking tape. I had 1.5 inch masking tape, much quicker to put that down than the 3/4 inch masking tape. All right, so here then with the masking tape down, then I went ahead and painted it with the Sonoran Desert paint, and then put the fine yellow down. I didn't use any fine green. Figure this area does not have a lot of green as far as the grass goes. I did, of course, use some coarse green and some underbrush green, but definitely a little bit less green here around a major mine and processing plant. Now, I did put a little bit more green here for the transition back to the regular main line going across the Westvaco control point. I didn't mask off the track in the middle because I figured I could make sure I didn't get a bunch of scenery on there. Once I got all the scenery down, then I spray it. First was just some wet water. That's water with soap in it. And then I'll spray it with diluted white glue. All right, so here you have it with the masking tape removed. You can tell the difference now between the rails. So it's much more subtle. You have the khaki there, and then the secondary track has more rust color to it. One of the other difference between the two also is the code 70 track for the secondary, code 83 for the mainline track. So you have a difference in the size of the rail. So definitely a lot of things to distinguish the secondary track from the mainline track. But again, you can see the khaki color for the mainline track, and then the little bit more of the rust color for the secondary track. And of course, it'll be even more subtle once the ballast is on there as well. You know, so sides of the ends of the ties are also khaki and rust, and that of course gets covered up with the ballast. Now I decided to cover up this backdrop because I didn't like the way the images were, so I just went ahead and stapled it down good. Instead of taking it off, I just made sure I stapled it good, didn't worry about it showing through, because I was planning on putting the new backdrop just over on top. I used some Gorilla spray glue, contact glue, just sprayed it with that, and then just put the new backdrop. Here's the new backdrop. Had a little bit more of the hills and green from the curve, and then now it transitions to the industrial area around the mines. It's the same pictures being used, but they're about twice the size. So it's a little bit better. I didn't like it before because the angle was wrong. It still looks like you're looking, you know, like it's down the hill from the main line, but it definitely is not as prominent as it was before. So this is definitely an improvement. I still, at some point in time, hope to get back out there and take the pictures again with a drone at a little bit less of an angle, so it looks more like the eye level. We'll put some trees in there for the seams and the division points, so that it's more of a transition there. I actually have the trees made, but they were still drying today, and I didn't want to put them up while they were still wet. So I'll do that probably tomorrow sometime. So that definitely, I think, is kind of an improvement. Now you can see the real small rail cars back there, but that'll be covered up with some vegetation as well. All right, now I did do some ballasting. This is the curve from Granger to Westvaco. It's kind of a really nice area. It's just 10 inches wide. Got some nice photographs here. Here the angle is very, very nice. And you have the green of the land before. Now the mountains themselves are all white or gray, tan, whatever you want to call it. But there is some land between the mountains and the layout that is a nice green color, which I think fits really well with the green that we have on the layout. So really a pretty good transition here, and it definitely looks a lot better with the ballast on there. Here you can see also the difference between the ballast used for the main line. I just use straight gray, fine gray from Woodland Scenics, and then I mixed the gray with buff for the secondary tracks. That's the switching lead for the Westvaco switcher. Notice a lot of the screws in the fascia, by the way. One thing I'm going to do one of these weeks is just go all along the upper level and get rid of all those screws that are showing. I have to countersink them, take the screws out, countersink, put the screws back in, and then cover it up with some spackling and sand it down, and then repaint it again so that it looks smooth. But this is a really nice curve. That's like 60 inches plus radius, so it definitely looks pretty cool. And you can kind of see with the switches here how this whole area is going to look, so you can kind of imagine how the rest of it's going to look, I think, as you can see, get all of it ballasted. But it's going to be pretty cool. And then, not to mention getting the buildings actually completed and so on. So this is definitely going to be a pretty cool area, and definitely a lot of fun to operate if you get the job of the Westvaco switcher. There's 2 trains that stop here, one in each direction, and it basically is, you know, empties are dropped off and loads are picked up. Now, I did have one problem here after I was ballasting. If you notice, there's a little bit of a dip at the rail joint. You can see the rail joint right there. And it's kind of easier to see in person than you can see in the video here, but there's a dip right there. Kind of, I think it's because there's a joint between the sections there, then also the joint of the track. I think it just basically caused a bit of a dip. And as the cars go by there, if I put the video on a tripod, you probably could see it a little bit better. Here you can, I put one of my old levels here. You can see the dip. It's probably a 1/32 of an inch dip here. I have my Lombard Hobby ruler here. You can see definitely there is a dip right there. Maybe even more than 1/32 of an inch. Really a little bit better. I actually have it on video. Now this is after it's done. I basically sprayed it, got it wet, and then sprayed it, and then raised it up a little bit, put a shim in there, and then raised it up, and then let it dry. And so now it's nice and level, and you don't have any unnecessary undulations. All right, now here you can see I did then finish painting the fascia. Again, I'm going to have to go through the whole upper level. It's going to have it so the screws countersunk. I did paint the fascia by the Westvaco control point there also. I think I might paint the back of the backdrops also black, so that whole area there, when you're standing on the platform, you can see that the unfinished part, the back of the backdrop. So I think I might paint that. You can see it from the other side too, so I might paint that all black eventually at some point in time. Also, a shot of the platform looks kind of messy now because I've been working. It's about 9 inches, I think, higher than the rest of the layout. Definitely makes it easy to operate. I do have a step stool on here also, so if someone needs to get even higher, they can. But that's how things look today. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it. We'll kind of look at some trains going through. So this is a Westvaco area. Viewing trains on the upper level is pretty cool. It's all at eye level. And I know as a kid, I used to, on my train layout, or our train layout that my dad and I built, we'd always put our heads down to the track level, watch the trains go by because it always looks so cool. That's kind of the view you get for the upper level the whole time. It's always kind of at eye level. Definitely kind of gives it a more realistic looking view. Makes you feel like you're trackside. And I do have step stools around the layout, so if you do want to step up and kind of get a better view, you can. This is kind of a cool view here also, especially when the trains come in the other direction. Again, this curve here is 60 inches plus. Definitely looks good, even though this is a unit auto rack train with some 90-foot cars. Looks very nice on this upper level on this curve. This next week I'll be trying to get the rest of this ballasted. That'll probably be my main goal, to see a train coming from the other direction. This is definitely going to be looking a lot better with all this ballasted. I have an operating session on Saturday, so I want to, if I do ballast, I'll try and get that done right away the first week, especially the main line. The water that you use on the ballast with the diluted white glue and so forth conducts a small amount of electricity, and so I have to always make sure I do any ballasting a couple of days before, at least a couple of days before we have an operating session. Otherwise, the areas that are ballasted always show up as being occupied. Here's a really nice area to watch. Just kind of stand here and watch the train come. Again, this is pretty much at my eye level. Watch the trains go by on nice broad curves. You can see the signals don't work because I sprayed it on that one section there to get the track level. Thanks again for watching. Thanks to our members. Make sure you like and subscribe. Really appreciate all your support. Take care, everybody.